Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
As to what a Senate trial would look like, Neil.
All right, Chad Pergram, thank you very much. The president would wonder how much he's taking in of all of this. Blake Berman at the White
I'm
House.
seeing Go America. That's always a positive sign.
Said yesterday that he would not be watching the hearings. We just heard from Kellyanne Conway in the briefing room just a little while ago. She said that the president has been quote unquote.
I know there's a little bit of a delay here, so.
What is going on?
Okay, we've got a yes. People can hear me. All right, well, that's fantastic.
From the press secretary Stephanie Grisham earlier today, in which she said during the noon hour at one point.
I'm going to use this because it's a little bit faster than the other.
The president will be working all day. He will be briefed by staff throughout the day and could.
Can't hear you. You can't hear me. Somebody can't hear me.
Something Neil very clearly caught the
All right, well,
attention because about 10 minutes after
most people can hear me, so I think we're good. You might have to turn your volume up.
the president then went to Twitter and fired off.
All right, so one thing that I had posted on Twitter, which I'd like to mention, is the volume of the of Fox News on here, is that a little bit too high? Do you guys want me to turn that down, or is that good? Hey, James Pless. Impeach Mr. Reagan. As well they should. Valeria, my woman has written me, I can hear you only in my left ear pod. Oh, you know what? Because this microphone is mono, and I actually don't know how to make it. I don't know how to set it properly, actually. So if anybody knows how to do that, let me know. Yeah, that's problematic. I don't know how to fix that. Sorry, guys. I can only hear you in my left. That sucks. That really sucks. Are you underwater? King of the Hill writes. Okay, that doesn't sound good. Focus a little bit on my simulated landscape, they say. My simulated landscape. This is my balcony. That's Los Angeles in the background. I could refocus, but the camera's kind of far away, so I think you're just going to have to either believe me. You know, some of my videos, it actually goes from day to night, so you can actually watch the whole thing change. Let's see here. Still just Fox. Okay, is Fox too loud?
The zip code you're born into.
There's some commercials playing here.
Your job.
Is that quiet? Is that better? Valeria sounds like malaria. Thank you, James.
With the why, we create opportunities for everyone.
It's true. It does sound a little bit like malaria. Let's see here. What software are you using? I'm using Streamlabs OBS. Hey, PG. Cheers, Chris. Busy at the moment, and I'll have to catch the replay later. Well, thanks for the $5, PG. You are an awesome dude. Oh, hey. I didn't even realize. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Yeah, he wants to get on camera, apparently. Okay, so you can't hear Fox. I know, I turned it off because it's commercials. What's my cat's name? My cat's name is Aston because I want an Aston Martin, but I can't afford it, so I have a cat, and I called him the car I want. Oh, somebody can't hear me at all. Well, this is problematic. Some people can hear me, and some people can't. I don't know how to fix this. I honestly don't know how to fix this. Let's see here. You're in focus in my right eye, but my left eye's blurry. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah, Ami. Let's see here. Somebody can't hear you. Select balance audio out. You know what? That's... I honestly, I can't even find the settings. There's like no settings here. I have no idea how to fix this. It honestly just has a list of devices. That's the only option they give me. Hello, Elephant Doodle. Good to see you there. Okay, well, if you guys can hear me just fine, I'm going to start. You're only hearing me on one ear. I'm very, very sorry. I'm going to have to work on this for next time. Mr. Reagan's styling conservative. Hey, there's substance as well as style, Julius. Let's see. Tyler Hummel. Shout out to my website, Geeks Under Grace. Oh, that sounds lovely. I just published a piece of modernism in Star Wars. published a piece on postmodernism in Star Wars. I also just had a piece published at Daily Wire. Oh, that's amazing. Tyler Hummel. Congratulations. Daily Wire is awesome. Leanne says she appreciates me. That's lovely. Fox is quiet. Okay, I'll put Fox up again here. Let's see. There we go. Oh, yeah. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear Schiff. Shifty Schiff. Okay, everything's fine. Everything's fine. This guy, Mr. Guy, says he's not a troll and he has no sound. All right, I'm sorry. Obviously, there's some kind of an issue with the sound. I've never had this problem before, so I don't actually know how to fix it. I apologize. But I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to explain to everybody what my problem is with the Republicans currently doing during this impeachment thing. I feel like James Pless writes, what percentage do you get from YouTube on these?
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
I honestly haven't really looked. I think it's 100%. I'm not sure. The smiley virus says the smiley virus. Been loving the camera slider you use. Looks almost like manual focus too. What have you been shooting on? Yeah, it is manual focus. I actually have a whole video that I made on how to be a successful YouTuber. So that got the lowest number of views of any video I've produced since my early days on YouTube. So I will probably not be producing videos on things like that ever again. I'm going to focus exclusively on politics from now on. And another thing, I'm going to kind of shift probably from trying to be slightly humorous and just be straight politics. And if I have an idea for something that's like straight comedy that's very funny, I'll go ahead and put that out like my Gillette video. But for the most part, I think I'm going to keep it pretty straight. People seem to like those better. So I wanted to express the problem that I have with what the Republicans are saying currently right now. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. What's up, Bricks? B-R-I-K-X? What is up, sir? Shane Jenkins writes 420. I don't approve. I know many of you are pot smokers. Disapprove of the pot smoking. I know you're going to attack me for it. Don't care. Hate marijuana. Think it's a terrible idea. Don't smoke pot, kids. Just say no. All right. Oh, well, thank you, Alexander Faust. That's lovely. That's nice of you to say. He says he likes my sense of humor. I like my sense of humor too. Not everybody appreciates it so much. My Monopoly game episode nobody really watched, and you know, I'm going to stop doing the light videos and start doing more heavy politics stuff. But I'll tell you what, guys. I have a problem with what the Republicans are doing right now. More in-depth AOC videos. I'm actually going to get to some of those, Gerald. Thank you for posting that. Gerald Stokely. The problem that I have with what Republicans are saying right now is they're not focusing on the corruption of Joe Biden. Because really this whole thing, I was on Gorka the other day and I was talking about this as radio show. Look, the whole impeachment pivots on one issue. Did Trump suspect Biden was corrupt and he was legitimately asking the Ukrainians to look into corruption? Or did he not believe that Joe Biden was corrupt at all and he just wanted, to screw over Joe Biden? I had a drink here somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. Or did he know that Joe Biden was innocent and he just wanted the appearance of corruption by having the Ukrainians investigate him? Like, that's what the Democrats are suggesting, that Trump knew he was innocent of everything, and he just wanted the Ukrainians to look into it or announce they were looking into it to make him look bad so that Trump would have an easier time winning in 2020. But that motivation is a pure guess. There's no evidence to suggest that Trump didn't believe that Biden was genuinely corrupt. So the Republicans really need to focus on, was Biden corrupt? Because if we can show that Biden was 100% for sure corrupt, then it really supports the case that Trump had good reason to look into him or to ask the Ukrainians to look into him. And my video, the video that I put out recently about Biden, I think shows very clearly that Joe Biden was far more corrupt than even Trump's suggestion, to the Ukrainians would indicate, right? Because the only suggestion that he made was that Joe Biden's firing of the general prosecutor in Ukraine was corrupt. But actually, The whole situation where he was having money sent to Ukraine, that money was going into Burisma, the Burisma money was going to his son, Hunter Biden. That circle of funds, that was all totally corrupt. And we have a lot more evidence. We have a lot more stuff. I mean, we haven't even got into the Devon Archer situation. And there's a lot more stuff to cover. I'm going to do another Biden video, the full extent of Joe Biden's corruption, part 2. That's coming out soon. I'm going to get my drink. Hold on, folks. Just give me 1 second. All right, we're back. We're back. Aston took my place as host for just 1 second. Did you say anything that's going to get me in trouble, Aston? Kicked off YouTube? You didn't go on some anti-Semitic rant, did you? I know what you're like. Yeah. Okay. Funeral Man says, enjoy your work, need more videos on The View. I know, that's my next one. My next one's on The View. Dead serious. This guy, James Pless, writes, nobody cares about your opinion, just read our super chats. Dance Monkey Dance. I love you guys. Let's see. Leah Mome writes, love your work. If they impeach, do we get 8 more years? Honestly, that would be amazing. There's some like fake news going around about that like if they impeach, we get to start over. That's not actually true. Sprite Zero. I know it's not good for me, guys. PP Hardaway, £2, I assume from the UK or something. Oh, he says, thanks for making Mauritians think. Heart, and then he writes, Holland, EU. I love the Netherlands. I've been there a couple of times. I love Mauritius as well. I would love to visit Mauritius, but the woman is currently going through immigration stuff, and she can't leave the country. Very sad. James Pless says, Aston for president. Stop attacking my Sprite, Aston. QMAP Pub, have you heard of it, and what do you think? QMAP.pub. I actually haven't heard of that. I will look into it, though, now that... I'm not really big into the Q stuff. Everybody's, like, big into the Q stuff. I've never... Mr. Nicktown writes, do you post on BitChute? If not, will you please... I have tried to post on BitChute and other sites like that, like Subscribestar. Come on, man. But they're just such a small audience. It's really hard for me to get motivated to consistently post on that. It's hard to remember to post on everything. You know, there's a lot of sites. Hold on, I feel like I missed something. Yeah. Daniel Godello. Godello? I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Says, my favorite is I hate The View. Trump is the only president to do what others feared him doing before. That's 100% right. I actually love making the View videos, but it takes like a full day to write a View video because I have to watch a bunch of different episodes, find the bits I don't like, and I get carried away, respond, what are you doing? He doesn't usually do this. It's kind of funny. It takes a long time to do those videos, so because I get carried away, I write like a ton about each misstatement that they make, and it's pretty crazy. Hey, buddy.
They get to ride the bus, they don't get to drive the bus. The president is in charge of foreign policy.
Hey, you're stealing the show here, man. Valerio, where's the Coke Zero? Coke Zero's in the fridge. I had to buy more, and it's warm. Everybody, Valeria, that's my girlfriend. You can all say hi if you want. Okay, I got another one here. I'm with Valeria. Mr. Reagan's getting fat. That's okay. James Pless, who the hell are you, man? Are you in LA? Because I kind of want to have a beer. I don't really drink beer, but I'll have a Coke and you can have a beer. I'll help you stay rich so he doesn't care so much. Yeah, that's kind of where she's at too. Come on, don't step on the keyboard, buddy. That's problematic. All right, Killer Sushi 99 writes, I'm not saying Joe Biden is old, but the first time he saw a rainbow, it was black and white. P.S. The View is cancer.
Gentlemen's recognized for 2 minutes.
Oh, Karen Strawn's on here. Oh, I love Karen Strawn. At least Aston is not barking at the window nonstop. Is that what your dog does? Karen Strawn, everybody. She's a good friend of mine. She's one of the great voices of the men's rights movement, and just generally a legend. You got to give me a buck when you write, so I know so I can see what you're writing. Getting fat, he was already there. I honestly was incredibly fit when I started this channel. YouTube makes you fat. All right, it's horrible. Ask my girlfriend. She's giving me money, but she's spending my own money. So let's see here. Your girlfriend is beautiful. Please help Tim Pool find a girlfriend. The man needs a loving co-pilot to keep up the good work. Actually, my friend Tiffany Tapp works for Tim Pool. She used to live out here in LA. Met up with her. She was on the she was a fan of the show. She wrote, "Hey, I live out in LA. Do you want to meet up with me?" I was like, "Sure." So I met up with her. Very nice girl. Ended up working for Tim Pool across the country. Very, very interesting. They could get together. Come on, Tim. Start dating Tiffany. I think that's a good combo right there. Let's see here. I love you, Mr. Reagan. I love you too, Karen. She writes, I have 2 dogs. The bad one has taught the good one to be a barker. Oh, that's terrible. What else we got? Karen Strawn, you are awesome. Brian B. Milk writes, absolutely true. Killjoy writes, shill pool. Killjoy Pros. What do you mean shill pool? I don't think Tim Pool is a shill for anyone. If anything, Tim Pool is like the most neutral guy because he's like a Democrat, but he basically fights for conservative rights because he's pro free speech, which I love. But I kind of resent Tim Pool because he's so much better than I am. Like his reporting is excellent. He makes way more videos than I do. They're all really interesting. I hate Tim Pool. Pure spite and jealousy. I'm very petty. You guys don't know that about me. David Kraft writes, the right audio channel is broken and annoying. I agree. Honestly, like when I make the videos, it's not a problem. I don't know why it's having a problem going through OBS. I have no way of fixing it down here. Yeah, that's all balanced fine. So it's just not, it's not set to mono, and I honestly can't fix it. Because if it was set to mono, then it would set the audio to both channels, but it's not. Let's see here. Holy cow, Karen has changed my views on so many minor and major aspects. Hats off to her. Yeah, look at that, Karen. You're famous. Well, I mean, you knew that, but. Let's see. Don't ignore me. Okay, Killjoy Pros, I won't ignore you. How did Tim Pool keep his ads? I don't know what that means. Pan to the middle of your desk. Some people ask me to do weird things. I don't understand that. The tiger cat is cute. He darn well is. Look at the audio mixer. Looks like the audio mixer is plugged up with cat hair. It is not. Gerald Perry. I don't see the ads on Timcast. Oh, yeah. I don't know what his financial situation or the deal is with ads. Let's see here. Okay, he just knocked down my Swiss Army knife. Yes, I have a Swiss Army knife because I was raised in the 80s when MacGyver was on television. James Pless. OBS stands for Old BS. I like OBS. It works. Valeria K. I have money. I'm literally working right now. That's true. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's terribly embarrassing. Let's see here. Killer Sushi 99 writes, you know when your parents would tell you not to stand too close to the microwave when it's running? Adam Schiff was never told that. Why are you knocking down everything off my desk? What are you doing? Come here. Come here. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Say hi. I'm just gonna hold you until you say hi. Oh, fine. He doesn't wanna meow. Let's see. Are you getting paid for your videos? Says Kilroy Pros. I get paid for the ads that I put in my videos, and I think that's very clear. I very clearly state every time I'm about to try to sell you something. And I try to sell you something for like a minute and a half, and I go back to my video, and I put big graphics so everybody knows to skip them. Look, if you think any of the stuff that I'm being paid to tell you to buy is good, buy it. If you don't think it's any good, don't buy it. Skip the video. Like, I have actually told my agent that I won't sell something. There's one thing I wouldn't sell because I thought it was a scam. So I do try to vet these companies a little bit. I don't look, I don't do a ton of research into them, but I don't sell things if I don't think that they're actually good for the people that I'm pitching to. Let's see here. This is kind of a funny, I kind of was hoping this would all be about impeachment, but you guys are asking me a lot of personal questions. Let's see here. The Austrian economics is the answer. Austrian economics. I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but I'll have to look into that. Tyler WX says, thought experiment. Imagine if Dems actually had enough votes in the Senate to remove Trump. Would he still get reelected next year? Tyler, this is actually something I've thought about, and my conclusion is that there is absolutely 100% no way in hell that they would have started impeachment if they thought that Trump would be removed from office. That would have been so extreme. You know what? Let me try something here. I'm going to go to my my sound settings. I'm going to go into my advanced audio. I'm going to go to my microphone. Uh-oh, you know what? No. Let's see here. Default. This is the wrong input. There we go. There we go. I don't know if this is... I'm going to try to fix my... I'm going to try to fix my the problem that I'm having here with my audio. No. For some reason, Windows has changed. There we go. Sound. Master volume. Test your microphone. Device properties. Additional device properties. Levels. Advanced. There we go. All right, this may stop the broadcast. Let's find out. Hopefully not. Now you guys can't hear me at all. Okay, hey, is that better? Did I fix it? Did I fix it, you guys? Oh my gosh, I think I fixed it. I think I'm a genius. I may have not. I don't know. We'll find out. Do you watch Styxhammer? I actually don't really watch Styxhammer. I should watch him a little bit. I don't watch him because he's a Satanist and I'm a Christian, and I feel like that's a little weird. But everybody tells me to watch him. Like, I should probably watch some of his stuff. Let's see here. Brick X writes, big fan. Are you going to the event in Australia like the one you did with Sargon and Count Dankula? I would love to go to that event again. The International Conference on Men's Issues. It was excellent. Karen Strawn, I don't think is organizing it next year, but she's awesome. And who knows? I mean, if I'm invited, I'll almost for sure go. James Pless writes, I bought the Angels and Entrepreneurs thing. Oh, that's amazing. Was it valuable? Because I honestly have no idea whether... It seems like a good idea to me to be able to, like, normal people to be able to put little bits of money into a startup, as opposed to, like, if you're a billionaire and you put in, $1 million into a startup. But I don't know. I haven't actually done it myself. I'm not that rich. Tony Clevenger writes, OBS toggle down to mono should fix the audio. You see, there is no toggle down mix to auto that I could find. Because I'm not using the ordinary OBS, I'm using Streamlabs, which is a little different. I don't know how to navigate it quite as well. Let's see here. But I think I fixed it. I think I fixed the audio. Yes, it is fixed, somebody said. All right. Jokester writes, listen in on the hearing a little bit so we can roast it. I know. I should shut the hell up so we can listen. David Kraft, I'll give you $10 to fix the audio. Yes, fixed. Good timing. Oh, somebody wrote fair dinkum. He must be from Australia. Hold on. Sean West writes, as an Australian, all politics is not immune from the absurd from time to time. However, what is happening in the US with this impeachment is incomprehensible. He didn't write the F, and that was mine. All these Democrats being fair dinkum. No, they're not being fair dinkum. They're not being even remotely fair dinkum. They're being total degenerates. He's not a Satanist anymore, says Carrie A. I didn't know that about him. I'll have to check him out. I actually have a friend, excuse me, a very good friend who is actually I have two friends who are pagans, right? Scottish pagans. Isn't that weird? One of them, I might be outing him. I probably shouldn't do this. One of them is Count Dankula, Marcus Meacham. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's a really famous YouTuber, way bigger than me. But we're sitting there having a scotch and smoking he had cigarettes, so I had like a pipe. You know, I have like a pipe. And he's like, I was asking about his faith and stuff, and he's like, actually, I'm sort of like a pagan, like old Scottish religion from like 1,000 years ago. I'm like, all right. So he's actually my second Scottish pagan a friend that I have, which is interesting. Let's see here. I'm scrolling through. I thought I saw somebody I know, but no, I didn't. Okay, James Pless again writes, time will tell if it was worth it. On another note, is Valeria performing charity by dating you? Kind of like Meals for the Homeless. I'll tell you what. When I met her, I was really, really fit. So you wouldn't have suspected that it was charity back then. Let's see here. Rand Cooley writes, high five from Eugene, Oregon. Nice. Doing any events back up here in the future? Rand Cooley. Probably not, but I am coming to Oregon for Christmas, of course, to see the family. So I don't know what I'm going to do up there. I'm probably just going to hang out in Portland a little bit. I don't have anything planned, like, professionally. I'll be doing some of my own videos. But, yeah, that'll be fun. Going home for a few days. Ashley Noel writes, go buy a steak. I have no idea why you wrote that. I have like 5 pounds of steak in the fridge, and I will be cooking that later today. Karen Strawn writes, bam. I don't know why. It's completely out of context, but I like it. Kimmy Jones writes, Trump rally tonight in Battle Creek, Michigan. That's awesome. I suggest that everybody go there. I met somebody the other day on Twitter who's like a Turning Point girl. Apparently there's like these students that are Turning Point ambassadors or something. And I think she's a Turning Point ambassador on Twitter. I think she's kind of famous, actually. Let me see what her name is. Twitter. Messages. What's her name? Her name is Ashley St. Clair. Somebody named Ashley St. Clair wrote me. She seems like a nice girl, and she was just at a big protest of some kind or pro-Trump thing, and I think they were like attacked or something. It seemed like it got a little crazy, and I think that was in the Midwest somewhere. I wasn't 100% sure. I just met her, and we were just talking a little bit, and I didn't really get everything figured out there. But yeah, just follow her on Twitter. She seems very cool. Let's see here. Stephen Logan writes, you should make a video explaining to my generation Common Sense by Thomas Paine. Oh, I love Thomas Paine. Love the knowledge bombs on this channel. Good luck on the cartoon. Oh, yeah, that cartoon is going to be epic. I'm actually reading... I don't know what I'm reading right now. I have a few different books. I'm reading Tolstoy I'm reading like 3 books at once. Tolstoy is the one that I was reading last night. Okay, Joe Rogan will give you elk meat if you do his podcast. Hey, that's just another good reason to do the Joe Rogan. Eventually he'll have me on his podcast, I'm sure, right? I don't know. I'll have to do something really like groundbreaking. I thought the Biden video that I did was really good, but they like suffocated the dang thing. YouTube, I had like all these. Am I going the right way with that? Yeah. I had all these recommended views. They call it browse features on YouTube. That's how you can tell if YouTube is recommending your video. And then at one point it was like, 1,000, 1,500 browser view suggestions an hour, and then suddenly it was like 0 an hour. So somebody at YouTube hit the cancel button, and my video I've gotten like very few views since then. I mean, it's still been doing okay from external sources, but YouTube tried to crush that. Oh, I got more Karen Strawn, who refuses to give me $1 every time she writes. So I have to search for her messages. Also, Wilma Flintstone. Okay, I guess you're just talking to other people now because I have no idea what's going on. James Pless writes, "What other silly things do you think you could get away with doing on live and just make money by reading?" SC, question mark. SC? I don't know what SC means. Try making dinner live by streaming it. I actually very rarely do live stuff on my show. I should do more. But specifically for this impeachment, I actually wanted to hear what you guys had to say about impeachment. I'll repeat my frustration. My frustration is nobody's bringing up Joe Biden's corruption. Because Joe Biden is very, 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 very clearly corrupt. And Donald Trump asking the Ukrainian president to look into that is not corrupt. Okay, he should not be impeached for asking the Ukrainian president to look into something that is totally justifiable to ask somebody to look into. That it's ridiculous that the impeachment is happening. Hello from Indiana. Hello, Marlise W. Trent Roberts writes, "Always hated Portland, reminds me of Gotham City." Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Let's see here. Jeff B. writes, "I'm grateful for your channel. Here's a widow's mite. I wish it was more, but I'm on a limited income." Thank you so much, Jeff B. You're an awesome guy. I mean, I honestly, I don't do these live streams for money, but that's just a really generous, nice thing for you to do. I really do want to talk to people and see what people have to say. Whoa, okay. Oh my goodness. I'll get this. I will get this because you just gave me $50, so I got to get your name right. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think it's Fiona, but it's Fionuela Hussey McCarthy. Oh, God, I hope I got that right. Slant from New York to pronounce my name. Oh, here we go. Fanula. All right. Fanula, I never watch The View, only when you showcase it. Can you do a piece one day on all the homeless that the Dems, etc. in L.A., and then show all the homeless on the street for comparison? Thank you. All the homes that the Democrats have in L.A. Oh, that's very smart. That's very smart. Because I've been considering doing a homeless in L.A. video just because, I mean, I actually went on a rant yesterday in front of my girlfriend. I said, look, we need to move. And my pitch was this. We have an amazing apartment with an amazing view, obviously. I love this place. But if you take the elevator down the 19 floors to the ground floor and you walk out the doorway, it's just homeless people everywhere. And even the people who aren't homeless, a lot of them are just kind of scuzzy people, kind of people who don't mind living in filth. And it's really gross. It's really unpleasant. People aren't nice. They're not polite. I think it was really clear to me when I walked out of a Starbucks the other day because Valeria was feeling bad, so I went and I got her like some croissant thing. And as I was walking out, this very nicely, very well-dressed guy, very good-looking guy, Asian guy, opens the door for me and said something nice. I don't remember what it was. And because you could see like my hands were full of stuff. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. And I left and I realized, oh, wow, that was so refreshing. But it really shouldn't be. I mean, that should be the standard. I should be used to that. That's how I act with people. And that's kind of how I expect other people to be as well. And just down here where I live, it's just people are rude and horrible and crazy and filthy and you literally see people shooting up drugs in the street. So it would be very easy for me to go around with my phone and just get some footage of how disturbing it is down here. Okay, all right. For the $50 that Fadula just sent me, yes, I am going to do that video. I've been meaning to do it anyway, and I think it's a great idea. I'm going to do it. Thanks for that push. Chris Gilbert writes, Merry Christmas. I love your content. I've had several heard it here first experiences through Mr. Reagan. Oh, that's excellent. Thank you, Chris. Actually, Merry Christmas. Very important. Everybody needs to say Merry Christmas to everybody all the time. There, at the point in my life, I think it was in the 90s, when I got nervous saying Merry Christmas to people, that I think is probably the moment when society shifted to being unacceptable. You should be able to say Merry Christmas without fearing people are going to get upset by that. James Pless writes, SC Super Chat. Oh, Super Chat, of course it is. And nobody's commenting on impeachment here. Capitalize, you nincompoop. Capitalize. Oh, you want me to capitalize on? I don't. Well, you're very generous, James. You just keep giving me $5 or $10 like all the time. Well, I'll tell you what. It's nice. It's nice it feels like people are being generous, and it feels like people are appreciate what I'm doing with my videos. So it is nice when I see like a little bit of money pop up here with the super chats. But I do want to hear. I'm so the impeachment thing is so crazy to me. So crazy to me. I'm curious just what people's reactions are. Mr. Reagan, my frustration amongst many is that they're calling and asking the court to adjudicate a disagreement between two other branches. Quote, obstruction of Congress. This is Karen Strawn. Oh, yeah, that is such a good point. That is such a good point. I mean, their primary argument really isn't the obstruction of Congress. Their primary argument is the abuse of power. The obstruction of Congress thing is a sort of add-on, which I don't think anybody really takes seriously. Like, I'm not that frustrated by that because that's just so petty. It's not even worth thinking about. It's very obviously political, very obviously just hate-based. So I'm not as bothered by that, Karen, but you and I can fight that out later. What would be great? Me and Karen Strawn in a boxing ring. No, that's a terrible idea. What am I even? That's not even funny. Why would I? That's so stupid. Hold on, I feel like I'm missing some chats here. Oh, the Connollys gave me $20, but they didn't say anything. Colonies, you've got to. You've got to write something, type something in so that I know how to respond to you. But thank you. That's amazing. Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah, look, everybody wrote Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. And Merry Christmas, Martin Nederland from the Netherlands. I like the Netherlands. I got a soft spot in my heart for the Netherlands. Techmaster Joe writes, what will get views, a rally or impeachment? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, they're both popular. I don't even think impeachment is popular anymore. People are like so bored with it. Okay, see, look at this woman. Look what she's doing right here. Jan Schakowsky. She's doing the same thing that all the Democrats are doing. She's appealing to emotion. And the reason she's appealing to emotion is because they don't have evidence to suggest that Trump did anything wrong. I mean, they don't have a logic. They don't have a reason. They don't have common sense. Nothing that what they're saying is actually compelling or convincing about impeachment. What's compelling and convincing is that, if we use these words that sound emotional, maybe people will agree with this. But nobody buys your patriotism. Nobody thinks you're a patriot for doing this. This whole patriotism ploy is just so laughable. Can you speak on what's happening in Virginia, says the Connollys. Oh, thank you for writing again. Could somebody write and tell me what's happening in Virginia? I don't actually know. Virginia? I don't know what's happening in Virginia. Joshua Jones writes, Starbucks, fail, Black Rifle Coffee should be a sponsor. I love every SJW moment in the Star Wars video. Have you watched The Mandalorian? Oh, thank you, Josh, because that video got much fewer views than I would have hoped. I put a lot of work into that, and I don't think that media is as important to most people, conservatives, as it is to me, because I'm a writer, and I really do think that that Hollywood manipulates the minds of young people, and I think that's horrible, and that's why there's so many Democrat voters in America, is because the Democrats control Hollywood and they perpetuate this BS. Which is one reason why I'm doing the hilarious AOC and the Squad cartoon. I have watched The Mandalorian, one of my favorite shows on TV. Absolutely love it. The last episode in particular with Bill Burr. What were they thinking putting Bill Burr in The Mandalorian? I mean, Kathleen Kennedy, who's like the top dog of Star Wars over at Disney, she must not have known who Bill Burr is, or she didn't know about that casting. I'm sure she's found out by now, and I'm sure she's like, considered Harry Carey. Oh, wow. Let's see here. We've got some more people. Oh, James Pless has written again. Everybody knows he won't be impeached. If somehow it goes to the Senate, we'll just vote him back in. Arnold moment, I'll be back. Also, it's not charity. You provide me with hours of entertainment. Support those who entertain you. Well, thanks, James. I'm glad that what I'm doing is mildly entertaining. You are right, by the way, Josh, about Starbucks. Black Rifle Coffee is a valiant company. I don't actually buy Starbucks coffee for myself. I don't buy any coffee except Don Francisco Hawaiian Hazelnut. If you could find Don Francisco Hawaiian Hazelnut, it's the best coffee that's available. It's delicious. It's a Cuban coffee, I think, so you may be supporting Cubanness, which probably isn't good. I feel like I'm missing some stuff. William Mize writes, thanks for being you. Well, thank you, William Mize, for thanking me for, or whatever. I feel like I missed a couple of... I'm trying to find all of the super chats here. Viking North gives $5 Canadian, but doesn't write anything. Viking North, shout out to you. No, you didn't say anything. Austin Williams writes, God is dead. Well, thanks, Austin Williams, for that. It's a bit of a provocative statement. It's been around for some time. Let's see here. Daydreamer. This is a distraction. It really is. It's a distraction from Joe Biden's corruption. And actually, my girlfriend made a good point. They're distracting from Joe Biden's corruption probably not just because they're trying to protect Obama's legacy, but I do think that that's a huge reason. But also probably because they're trying to distract from their own crimes. Because I've looked into it with my investigative reporter friend Dick Jackman on Twitter. If you want to look at Dick Jackman 1 on Twitter, he's an excellent source for this kind of stuff. And we've discovered that there are other Democrats who are guilty of taking money from Burisma. It's not just Joe Biden's son. I think that this virus spread throughout the Democrat Party. So there's a lot of people who would probably be in trouble if they did a full investigation of all the dealings Burisma has had with Democrats in U.S. office. See here. Micaiah Jackson. Micaiah? I think that's how you pronounce your name. I'm enjoying the book, The Strange Death of Europe. A lot of discussions in that book to go over. I have that book, and I have not yet read it. I've read part of it, but I haven't read the whole thing. And but I do love the guy who wrote it, whose name I can't remember. Let's see here. AYVABTU. Ivabtu? Anyway, right. Virginia Democrats are making moves to disarm the public. Sheriffs refuse to enforce. Oh, yes, I read about that. That's right. One sheriff was basically saying that he's going to deputize his entire county. Well, if only cops can have guns, we're going to just deputize the whole county. Look, this is unconstitutional. We all know it's unconstitutional. If at any point, this kind of thing happens, it'll go to the Supreme Court. It'll get fixed. It's fine. I mean, to me, that would be like an emergency thing where the Supreme Court would take it up immediately. So I don't think that a lot of time would go. I don't think enough time would ever go by where anyone would have a gun confiscated or anything like that. I don't think.
21 years ago this week, I spoke here on impeachment. In this, sadly, history will not treat Democrats.
You guys are so funny. You guys have such a weird comments. All right. Crypto Colax writes, I can't send you money. I'm too rich and greedy. It's all good, Crypto. Aaron Morgan writes, I say impeach him. This will give him one more win. Now he'll be the first president to have been impeached and reelected. Is that true? Is this the first time? Oh, because everybody else was impeached in their second term?
President Trump committed no crime or impeachable.
I got a text from my friend James. There's a caveat. To read later after your live stream is over. Sorry, James. It's being read now. James is out there also in Illinois. He's out there in the Midwest. So he and any of you who are out there could meet up and do stuff together. It would be good fun. He writes, Ashley St. Clair is insanely hot. It's too bad she's dating, but I really like the way she thinks. All right, Ashley St. Clair, if you ever break up with your guy, find my friend James. Cool guy. Let's see here. And personal update. I won't read the personal update. I won't read the personal update. Well, thank you, James. I just outed you for finding Ashley St. Clair insanely hot. I don't really know her. I just started talking to her last night. Okay, Aaron Morgan. I read that. Let's see here. James Pless. Ooh, Canadian money. I lived in Canada for a while. I actually love Canada. I lived in Toronto. James Pless writes, next time you go live, have somebody track your super chats and tell you. Yeah, I know. I'm crappy at this. Pelosi's teeth are falling out, says Jack James. That's so cruel. Hey, The Five. Honestly, I watch two shows every day. It's The Five and Tucker. I love The Five and Tucker. Oh my gosh, it's like my favorite shows on. All right, I think I'm going to stop this because even though I love The Five, I want to actually watch it. So I can't pause it on my TV, but it's fine. How do I turn that off? Window capture. Oh, I'm a genius. Okay. All right, now it's all just me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here. Let's see here. Oh, Micaiah Jackson sent me a message and then retracted it. Dude, come on. Let's see here. Derpy Pants, who I'm pretty sure chose that name just so people would have to say it on live streams, writes, Mr. Reagan, have you considered making a video about how the comments on Trump's tweets are censored? I sent you a message about it from Frank202, blah, 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 blah. I'll check that out. I assume you wrote me on Twitter. Okay, I don't check all my Twitter because I get a lot of tweets, so a lot of private messages. I have my private messages open to the world, so if you want to send me a private message on Twitter, you can feel free to do that. I don't check them all, though, because it just is a lot of, if I'm working, if I'm doing a video, I'm very, very focused, and I kind of shut out the whole rest of the world. But there are times, there will be certain nights when I'm lonely and crying and, getting drunk by myself. No, that doesn't really happen. But there are some evenings where I do scroll through my new messages on Twitter, and I will try to catch up a little bit. And if that happens and I find your message, I will respond. And so I'll try to find yours as well. But let's see here. I haven't heard that comments on Trump's tweets are censored, but I'm hearing that from you now, and that's obviously terrible. What social media is doing generally with trying to censor stuff. Like, I was talking to Gorka the other day on his radio show, Sebastian Gorka. I'm sure you guys know who Sebastian Gorka is. And we get off the air, and I'm like, dude, why aren't you following me on Twitter? I'm like, I'm going to call you out on the air next time if you don't follow me on Twitter. And he goes, well, of course I'm following you on Twitter, Chris. Of course I'm following you on Twitter. He goes, I wasn't following you on YouTube for a little while because they had deleted my YouTube account. But I'm following you on Twitter. Of course I'm following you on Twitter. And I said, no, you're not. And he goes, oh, hold on, I'll check. And he goes, those bastards. He goes, I was following you. I swear I was following you. And he goes, okay, well, you followed again. I'm like, all right, okay, great. So that was like our little off-air chat. Little behind the scenes there for you folks. So yeah, apparently even Sebastian Gorka will have his Twitter, follower, deleted from, certain things or whatever. So it happens to all of us. A lot of people get deleted from my Twitter. A lot of people get deleted from my YouTube, unsubscribed, and they're like, I didn't unsubscribe from you. I don't know why they've unsubscribed me, right? The left has a lot of little tricks, especially in Silicon Valley. They have a lot of little tricks to try to shift the culture toward what they want. Get Democrats in office. Get these social issues pushed on their side. Get kids, especially. Kids are like kind of the thing that I think is the thing that we as conservatives don't focus on enough. And that's why I want to do the cartoon, and that's why I think that we should get into media more, TV and movies. The TV and movies that we produce tend to be pretty crappy. There's some good ones, but for the most part, I think conservative TV shows and movies are very poor quality, and we need to up our game there. And that's something I want to get into shortly. Let's see here. David H., politics aside, you and Karen Strawn are both amazing people. Thank you for all your hard work. This chat and stream rock. Thank you so much, David H. I very much appreciate that. FL Sheepdog 1 writes, invest in tar and feathers. Going old school. I love it. M79 Man writes, am I correct to say that American funds to Ukraine are used in money laundering scams, and I do not have a good grasp on how money laundering works? Could you clarify? Yes, I absolutely think that that's true. So, how does money laundering work? I honestly don't even really think that the U.S. aid to Ukraine is being laundered. Laundering money is just trying to take money that was gotten through sort of like illegitimate businesses, like say, the drug trade or something like that. And it's like, well, how do you keep all this money and spend it and, in a way that the government could actually see it without them copping onto the fact that, figuring out that you've got it through a drug trade or you got it illegitimately. Well, you've got to make it look clean. You've got to make it look like you've made the money in a clean way. So what a lot of the old-timey gangsters did, and what I assume some people do today, is that let's say you're making $10 million a year, through the drug trade. You might also own, 50 laundromats or something like that. Say each laundromat is making, they probably makes a few $1 million a year, and your take away from that is probably not that much, each laundromat. But if you, on the books, right, actually we made 3 times what we said we made, then you can just put, 3 times the money that you were making through the laundromat, you can just put a bunch of money in from the drug trade and say, oh, no, we made this through the laundromat, right? If you watch Breaking Bad, I think he buys a car wash specifically for this purpose. So it's just laundering money is just a way of legitimizing the money that you have made through illegal activities, right? With the money that we sent, the U.S. aid money that we sent to Ukraine, $1.8 billion, $1.8 billion, I mean, it's an insane amount of money, was put into a bank called Privatbank, right? Private bank. And that was a bank that was owned and operated by a guy named Igor Kolomoisky. And Igor Kolomoisky is like a big evil oligarch over there in Ukraine. He looks like Santa Claus, but he acts like a Bond villain. He's actually a perfect Bond villain. It's weird. Anyway, so he just stole that USAID money. It was in his bank, and he distributed it to a bunch of offshore accounts, and then he pretended to buy various services and things using that money, but actually it just went to him. He just stole it. He just stole the money. So and Joe Biden facilitated that theft. That was Joe Biden's fault. And now Igor Kolomoisky actually controls, right, the current Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky. We all love Vladimir Zelensky because he used to be a comedian, and we think that he's genuine and he wants to fix the corruption in Ukraine. But actually, this guy, when he was a comedian, the TV show he worked on was owned by Igor Kolomoisky, and now Igor Kolomoisky is giving him visits in Kiev, and everybody thinks that basically this guy's a puppet of Igor Kolomoisky now, which is terrible, you know. And that was all, I mean, this stuff is all facilitated by Joe Biden's aid to Ukraine. Joe Biden, I mean, yeah, it's all terrible. And it was okay. Joe Biden was fine. In fact, Igor Kolomoisky was not allowed to enter the U.S., right? His visa was like, not allowed to come in here. And then Joe Biden came along. Hunter got that job with Burisma, which Igor Kolomoisky controlled Burisma. So Igor Kolomoisky basically said, I will funnel some of this aid money to Hunter. And then Joe Biden was just like, oh, cool. You know what? Your restriction from traveling to the U.S., magically gone. You're totally allowed to travel to the U.S. now. It's totally cool, even though you're a frickin' Bond villain. Okay. That's basically my Joe Biden video summed up. There will be more. William O'Neill, Karen Strawn would kick your ass. Well, that's why I said we should go into a boxing ring together. I'm pretty sure she would win. Let's see here. James Pless writes, I use Tide to launder my money, JK. Screw P&G. Yeah, Procter & Gamble, they do Gillette. That's why he's saying screw P&G. Okay. Sandra Moldyov. Oh, you know what? Oh, crap. Sprite. I actually made a specific promise to myself never to drink Sprite. Here I have it right here. Because they just made this ad that's like this pro-LGBT ad. And look, I'm not like for, you know, bullying gay people or anything. Like, you know, some of my best friends are gay. That's real. It's not like I'm not just saying that. But I don't believe in gay pride. I think being proud of being gay is like incredibly terrible. I think that's a terrible, terrible thing. You should not be proud to be gay. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's so stupid. All right. I could get into that, but I want to read some of these. Okay. Sander Moljord Ditov. I believe that is Norwegian. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, I assume, from Norway. Do I know my various names of people from various countries? Yes, I do. Logical Conservative just wrote, Nadler just accused Republicans for spouting Russian propaganda. Yeah, well, they say that because they say that any claim that conservatives have about you know, leftist corruption or anything like that, oh, that's Russian propaganda that you're spouting. Look, if the Russians agree with conservatives about Democrats being corrupt, that's not us spouting Russian propaganda. That's just the Russians agreeing with us that a lot of the Democrats are corrupt. There's, you know. All right, the RGC 1987, which I assume is your birth year, which would make you 8 years younger than me. I'm a first AC and closeted conservative. Hey, a fellow Hollywood person. I fear that if I were to make my views known, I might never work again. Any advice? Dude, my girlfriend is currently working right this very second on a movie. No, it's on a commercial for Facebook. Downtown here, a little ways away from where I live. And I worked on a lot of different movies and TV shows, you know, just like you do. You cannot talk about politics. You cannot out yourself as a conservative. You cannot. You won't work again. That's just how Hollywood is. You have to accept the fascist nature of Hollywood and either go along with it or go get work in another industry. Those are your only two options. I mean, if you want to work in Hollywood, you are subject to their authoritarian rule, basically. You have to sort of be quiet. That's just it. That's just the suffering that we must endure. We are, and this is a terrible analogy, but I'm going to use it. We are essentially Jews in Nazi Germany. We're like in hiding. I mean, obviously that is an inappropriate metaphor, but it's kind of right. I mean, okay, let me scroll down here. I'm missing some stuff. James Pless writes, careful, don't pull a Phil Robertson about the gays. Well, I don't. See, that's the thing. I'm not like, anti-gay people individually, but I am kind of anti-gay culture. I don't really like this like pro-gay culture. Being gay is amazing. I don't think it should be characterized that way. I think it should be characterized as like, a struggle that some people have for various reasons. And, I mean, you should not bully people for their, this sort of thing. This is what I always say, like, everybody is a sinner, and he who is without sin should cast the first stone, right? So I try not to be totally condemning of people just because I don't agree with certain things that they do with their lives. But I do, I'm Christian, so I don't think being gay is necessarily good or natural. And I really don't think that every gay person is born gay. I really think that's such crap. I think there might be a small percentage of men who are born that way and women, but for the most part, I think it's a product of psychological issues and stuff like that. And I know it's an unpopular view. It's an unpopular view. But I think it's right. And I think it's right because of a lot of the people that I've met in my life. That's not just like a theory, that's a theory born from experience, from meeting people like this. All right, Fanula writes again. Fanula Husey McCarthy writes, everybody in New York nicknames me Nula. Okay, Nula, that's easy. Where are you from, Nula? Because McCarthy, I mean, you must be married to an Irishman. Or no, sorry, an Irishman, a Scotsman. I'm Scottish, or at least partly Scottish. I should know that. You're obviously married to a Scotsman, but Fanula is an unusual name. I like it. It's a pretty name. All right, everybody in New York nicknames me Nula. I loved how Pelosi said she's a Catholic and loves everybody. Not Trump, and not the homeless in L.A. I mean, or San Francisco. She's a San Francisco. Like, Nancy Pelosi, every time she was like doing the Pledge of Allegiance today when she started, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance and listen to those words, really listen to them. I was looking at the TV, and what I didn't see Nancy Pelosi reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I saw Satan himself reciting the Lord's Prayer. I mean, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like somebody that was totally, I mean, she was so fake. Right? I mean, she was really trying to put on this, I'm a patriot. I'm doing this for my country. You are not a patriot. You're not doing this for your country. You are a selfish, greedy woman who does not care about the American people. Everything that you're saying is total hogwash. Okay. Yeah, let me scroll down here. I think somebody else is writing something. Angela B. writes, what's with so many conservatives bashing Michelle Malkin of late? She's hands down the most honest, courageous, and trustworthy conservative woman in my lifetime. I have a little bit of an insight into this, and I think it's because Michelle Malkin defended Nick Fuentes. I think his name is Nick Fuentes. I'm really bad with names. It's not that I'm like not 100% familiar with Nick Fuentes. 100% familiar with him. Just crap with names. I forget the names of my best friends sometimes. So, but Nick Fuentes and I have my friend James Heffernan, whom I read a text from earlier today, or earlier in this broadcast, writes, "You're terrible, ha ha ha." Yes, I am. All right, so let me talk a little bit about Nick Fuentes. So Nick Fuentes, we have a mutual friend in common. A really good friend of Nick Fuentes is a really good friend of mine. Like we had this guy that we both know. And so I've been in contact with Nick Fuentes. I wanted him to come on the show. We haven't set a date or anything, and I kind of was thinking maybe I shouldn't do it because his fans are like crazy. Like his fans are like really aggressive, and I was like, I don't know if I want to really deal with that. But he does have some interesting ideas that we could get into. He is a phenomenon for sure. I mean, if I had him on my show, it would be because he's made a name for himself, and good for him for that. But like he does say some really provocative, trollish kind of things, and that's really what he's known for. I mean, the stuff that he's not known for, I think, is, most of his views are really pretty mainstream conservative, but then he's got these ideas that he expresses that are not mainstream conservative. Like a lot of people think that he's a racist or he's anti-Semitic and stuff like this, and he denies that. But a lot of the stuff that he says makes him sound super racist or super anti-Semitic, and so it's natural that a lot of people are going to hate him. I don't really hate the guy. I think I would have to really dive into everything that he believes to really get a sense of it. But a lot of the stuff that I haven't really had time to do that. But a lot of that stuff he says is very provocative. And Michelle Malkin defended him, right? And Nick Fuentes is very much against Charlie Kirk. He thinks Charlie Kirk is like a fake conservative and all this stuff. I don't really think that. I think Charlie Kirk just has some different ideas than Nick Fuentes does, but I think they're both genuine conservatives. So I don't think it's really a good idea to have a lot of conservative infighting. I think it is good if the issues that you're fighting over matter a lot, but I don't think the specific issue that Nick Fuentes is famous for debating about is aid to Israel. And I don't think our aid to Israel is a terrible thing. I know that Israel is a relatively wealthy country. They don't really need our aid. But I think that the aid that we do give to Israel is a kind of sign of support, like a show of support. Like the people around Israel should know, don't try to obliterate Israel because America's got their back. And I think that's good. I think that's fine. They're a democracy. They share our values, more or less. And they're in a very hostile place. So I think supporting them is just fine. Let's see here. Angela B. What's with so many... Okay, sorry. Already read that? Oh, man. See, this super chat is so hard to navigate. Honestly, guys. Let's see. Micaiah Jackson writes, Mark 8:35, for whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life, for me and for the gospel, will save it. That's an excellent verse. I remember that from Sunday school. And I don't typically read scripture to, on my show. I have in the past. I definitely have in the past. It's just not something I've done too much with my show, but maybe I should make it more of a part of my show. There's so much wisdom in the Bible. Even if you're not a Christian, people reject the values of Christianity or the wisdom in the Bible, and I think that's a huge, huge mistake. I mean, even if you're not a religious person, you don't believe in God, there's so much wisdom in there. I mean, you just can't reject it. It's just silly to reject it. Review Fox writes, up with Mr. Reagan or down? Which is which? I'm being detained, exclamation mark. Up with Mr. Reagan or down? Somebody's going to have to explain that to me. I have no idea. Let's see here. Zachary Moyer writes, hello, Mr. Reagan. I'm an atheist who listens to conservatives. I agree with them, but I'm curious your thoughts on atheists being on the right. I don't see much conversations when it is a thing. Merry Christmas and Trump for the win. Zachary Moyer, that's a perfect comment to feed into from what I just said before. I would say this. I actually mentioned this on a Jordan Peterson. There was a screening of the Jordan Peterson movie here, and I was invited to speak at it. And this is kind of what I mentioned. I put it on my channel at one point. Jordan Peterson kind of opened the door, and this may not be your experience, but opened the door for Christians and atheists to kind of coalesce around shared values against, say, Antifa and some of the identity politics that's plaguing the left right now. Because I think Jordan Peterson is very much pro-Christian values, but he's an even louder voice when it comes to being against identity politics. And I think that rational atheists and devout Christians can agree on that. And here's the thing. Even when I was a kid, as a Christian, I viewed the world from a particular perspective, right? Through a particular lens, a Christian faith-based lens. But everything in the Bible and everything within my faith drew me to conclusions that, upon inspection, proved totally rational. So it was always and I know atheists can't really understand that, but it was always my presumption that if you were a truly rational atheist, and you weren't just an atheist because you hated Christians and you hated Christianity, which is, I would say, a huge percentage of atheists are atheists because they're angry with God. And you can tell me whether you think that's true or not, but that's my experience. If you're not an atheist simply because you're angry with God, but genuinely because you can't bring yourself to believe in him, but you don't reject God in the same way a lot of atheists do, you just don't have any kind of thinking about him. but you try to be very rational and reasonable. In my, like, theoretically, you should end up with with the same conclusions that a devout Christian comes to, because there are Christians who are not reasonable, rational Christians, right? There are Christians who reject a lot of reasonable, rational things, also reject a lot of things in the Bible, a lot of scriptural things, because they're they're like selfish. They kind of reject some of the Christian ideas, some of the fundamental Christian ideas, because they're selfish and they want to do what they want to do. They're not, they're what my mom would have called like fake Christians when I was growing up. And so you do have Christians that aren't really very rational, and you have atheists that are not rational. Atheists always claim, I'm rational. This is the whole reason I don't like God. But I mean, I've met enough atheists to know that most of them are not rational. They claim rationality because it's an attractive sort of style to be. I think my cat's going to jump up here in a second. Just a warning, everybody. So anyway, not only do I think that atheists have room, there's room in the Republican Party for atheists, I think it's totally natural that a rational atheist and a devout Christian would totally agree on a lot of stuff. That's what I think. Let's see. Eric Vaughn. Loving your content from Canada. Impeach Trudeau. Oh, man. But you got to love that blackface. You got to love that Justin Trudeau blackface. Okay. Let's see here. For the Frequency writes, Louis Gomer is a legend. Don't know who Louis Gomer is, but okay. I will accept that because I have no reason not to agree with you. All right. GRN Logic K writes, Conservative Inc. is just as bad as the left with censorship. I don't think that's true. I do think that the establishment Republicans, establishment conservatives, do sometimes veer into like an over-controlling type way of being. But a lot of people impeach the cat. No, Harvey Weinstein. There's no way we're impeaching. Isn't that right, Aston? You're just too awesome. Yeah, he's back. You trying to get on camera there? You trying to steal the show, buddy? All right. Harvey Weinstein says, big fan of blackface. Instant win in my eyes. Here's my thing on blackface. All right, I really do have a perspective on this. There's nothing wrong with blackface. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're really genuinely trying to ridicule an entire race, okay, that's bad. But if you just think it's fun to dress up like something you're not, that's not bad, okay? So there are many instances, I think from the very early days of blackface all the way up to like the 80s and 90s when people were still doing that kind of stuff at Halloween parties, where I think the vast majority of people who wore blackface were never thinking, I'm going to do this because I hate black people. That was never the intention. It was always just to dress in an exotic way or in a way that was different from what you actually looked like. I'm sure there's plenty of guys who dressed up like dressed up like they were black, their best friend's black, and they went to the Halloween party together. It's like because they thought it was funny. I'm sure that happened lots of times. There's nothing wrong with blackface. It's the stupidest thing in the world to get upset about that. You want my phone? Here. Charles Story writes, Mr. Reagan equals excellent content and $5 for silly animation. Thanks, man. That's right. I mean, okay. Yeah, he makes a good point. Charles makes a good point. I am making a stupid cartoon. I haven't had time to work on it as much as I would like lately because I'm trying to get content out there on my show, but I do want to get a full series out, and I think we'll start putting episodes out in probably late February or March. It's just a lot of work to get a full episode done, so because I have to do all the audio, I have to send it to the background guy. You guys got to do all the background. Then I got to send it to the character guy. He's got to do all the character work. I got to make sure all the characters are done, so the guy who draws all the characters has to get that done. It's just a lot of work, but there's how many people are on here right now? Okay, we got 1 minute, 15 minutes in. We still got 1,000 viewers watching, so let's keep the show going. I was gonna if I'm going to keep it going, though, ladies and gentlemen, I need a Coke Zero. I'll be right back. Give me a second. Dave Hendershot writes, hey, Mr. Reagan with a thumbs up. Gregory Horton writes, is trans like dressing in women face? Gregory Horton? I'm going to make that point on my video like every day. I love that. Hold on. All right. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Beautiful, refreshing Coke. Listen to this. This is just going to be pure music. Listen. Oh. Normally I have the cap ones, but they didn't have any of that at the CVS I went to. So Coke Zero it is. I mean, Coke can, whatever. Laura Fabins once asked it on the mic. Come here. He's not moving. He's just watching it. Okay, come. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, I'm going to have you meow. So go ahead and meow into the mic. There you go. He hates being held, which is really weird because cats usually love being held, but he's not fond of it. So there you go. That's asked it on the mic. Is bukkake considered whiteface? I just found out what that was the other day. That is disgusting. All right, let's see here. Laura Fabins writes, hooray. That's right. That was just for you, Laura. Okay, I finished it. You have a toy now. Come on. You know you want to knock it over. Come on. All right, let's see here. FL Sheepdog 1 writes, I'm a gay conservative. I don't think things are fabulous. I just consider them okay. I have a buddy who I've talked about him many times on the show. He's a gay conservative. Well, he's not really conservative. He's a Democrat. He's always been a Democrat. He's a gay actor out here in Hollywood. Mexican gay actor in Hollywood. And he calls me up maybe a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. I can't remember. And he goes, Chris, I don't think I can be a Democrat anymore. And he just starts talking about the hypocrisy of the left. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these years you've finally woken up. It's amazing. I just thought if he is becoming conservative, there must be like some kind of crazy way. I mean, if he can, hey, okay, go on. Go get it. There must be a lot of other people who recognize this because he was completely sold on, the Democrat thing. I mean, he wasn't hugely into politics. He just kind of observed it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm friends with a couple of prominent gay conservatives. I love Milo. I haven't met Milo yet, but hi, Milo. Put me on your show, okay? I'll bring the cat. Hey, buddy. Gonna hang out there? All right, so FL Sheepdog 1, great to have you on board. There is a secret society of Hollywood conservatives out here in Los Angeles. I go to the meetings, and there are many gay LA men there, and we all work relatively well together. All right, James Pless. I think the watching people game is lame. Am I lame for watching a fat guy drink Coke Zero? I sent you an email. I love having I guess I'd call you a fan of the show who donates money to the show, like tons of money, clearly, who's also my biggest troll. Like, what is that? Yeah, okay, I'm fat. I got it. I'm working on it, all right? You know what I'm doing, guys? I'm doing a total like Atkins thing. Just meat. I'm just eating meat. I cheated the other day. I had a little bit of watermelon. But I'm just eating meat, and then I have like some flavored sugar-free drinks. Excuse me. So I have bacon, I have steak, and I have chicken. And that's all I that's all I eat. I have some turkey, so there's a little bit of other things. A little bit of cheese, a little bit of salami, but for the most part, it's just steak and chicken and bacon, and that's all I eat. And it's working pretty well. I think I'm getting a little bit more fit. Maybe not. Okay, let's see here. Laura Fabins is back. She writes meow from Mr. Winston, who sits behind me when I work. Hey, Mr. Winston. That's a great name for a cat. I love that. Aston probably wasn't the best name, but I wanted to name him Bentley because I have a character in a show that I wrote called Bentley because his parents, when they had the baby, they had these dreams of being rich, so they named all their kids like really like luxury goods. And so he always hated his name, but he was named Bentley, and I thought, oh, that's a cool name for my cat. And then my girlfriend was like, no. And so we went through various luxury cars until we came upon Aston, which is the car I want anyway. Let's see here. Alan Poe 17 writes, do black supremacists get mad at their... Oh my gosh. You guys can read that if you want. Love your content, Mr. Reagan. Keep up the fantastic work. That is disturbing. You guys, come on. Harvey Weinstein. Just your name is funny. Harvey Weinstein writes, have you ever watched Parks and Recreation? And will you please just say Bobby Newport in your intro voice? Okay. I'll tell you what. I have watched Parks and Recreation. I used to love that show. Great show. I think it's a solid show. They even have some conservative stuff in there. Really, truly fantastic show. Very funny. Bobby Newport. Good? Is that good? Should I do it again? We could try a full intro. Today's episode is about Bobby Newport. I don't know who Bobby Newport is, but sounds good. You know, it's all good. All right, let's see here. Alan Poe again writes, how many pets have you had overall? Well, so I grew up with a cat. We had a cat when I was a little boy. And then that cat was sent to the Humane Society because my dad is a monster. And my dad's actually a great guy. But I'm calling him a monster now for that one reason. But then later we got another cat. And that cat died, sadly, because he lived a good, long life. And many years later, I couldn't have a cat, right? I would have either had to have a dog or a bird or something like this because I'm allergic to cats. But then somebody introduced me to the Bengal, right, which is a kind of cat. And I am not allergic to Bengals. And apparently people who are allergic to cats aren't always allergic to Bengals. Oftentimes, if you're allergic to a regular cat, you won't be allergic to a Bengal. So, but it was way too expensive. There's no way I could buy one. And then as the years went by, I always wanted one. Then I found one that was relatively cheap. And I had a little bit of money because I had a YouTube channel. So I was like, I'm going to buy my girlfriend a cat. She claims she hates it, even though every day she comes home, she goes, baby, baby, and she plays with it. And then later on, she's like, oh, I hate that cat. But she doesn't. She loves him. It's like her little, I don't know, way of not being appreciative or something like that. Let's see here. Ray Sharpless writes, try Diet Right for your diet. Aspartame metabolizes as sugar in your body. Sucralose works great, however. Diet Right, good suggestion, Ray Sharpless. I will try the Diet Right. Bailey Gregg says, at 7 you say, but it goes nowhere like everything else has for almost 7 months now. I assume that somebody else is, he's talking to somebody else. All right. OG Mamacita Bear. OG Mamacita Bear writes, do you think all the remakes and reboots are because of lazy writers because the studio already owns the properties? Merry Christmas. No, I think it's because, I actually think it's because people love nostalgia, right? People love nostalgia. If I made today, a really good reboot of Quantum Leap, like if somebody made a really good reboot of Quantum Leap, I'd be there immediately because that was my favorite show in the 80s. The problem is that it's really, really hard to recreate genius. So if you're rebooting something that was brilliant, you've got to get new brilliant people to work on it. And I don't think J.J. Abrams... I think J.J. Abrams is very brilliant in many ways, but he can't write endings. And for whatever reason, the people that work with him or he has been unable to accept that fact, and so they won't bring in other people to write endings. Like, if J.J. Abrams and I worked on a project together, it would be a perfect project because you'd have all the good stuff of J.J. Abrams, and my specialty is endings, so I'd be able to write the ending for him. We'd be able to put together a nice, beautiful package. But either J.J. Abrams doesn't appreciate the importance of a good ending, or he does, but he just doesn't really understand how to do it. So, but either way, if you watch any J.J. Abrams project, the ending will always suck. Like, do you guys remember the ending to Lost? Yeah, everyone hated that. Do you remember the ending to the first Star Wars movie? I mean, it was essentially the same. I mean, do you remember the ending to the first Star Trek movie? I don't even remember that. I'm sure somebody does. But J.J. Abrams cannot write endings. It's like his Achilles heel. So getting him on a project like Star Wars, that was a good idea in some ways, but story-wise, I don't think it really worked out. And then Rian Johnson just destroyed the whole. I mean, any redeeming factors that the first movie had were completely destroyed by the second new movie. Let's see here. And Merry Christmas to you back. Mamacita Bear. OG. James Pless writes, they mean, how many times have you been pet? That's a secret. Let's see here. Zachary Moyer writes, I've been an atheist since I was 7 years old, but my family loves Jesus, and I don't hate or rebel out of spite. I think it's not talked about enough, but atheists being progressive is spiteful. Wow, that is such a powerful statement. I actually think that you're right. I rejected atheists as people, more or less, or I guess dismissed atheists completely for most of my life, because almost every atheist I met was really like a hateful person, right? It wasn't until I really got into politics and I started dealing with people who were atheists that shared my values and my views. There's that British guy. Somebody can write his name down on here. Some really brilliant people that I started to kind of recognize that some atheists don't have to be complete and total degenerates. I also had, like, my best friend in college was an atheist, and so I've had some interactions with very specific people. Another best friend that I had, who's actually a Muslim, or he was raised Muslim, is an atheist. He's from England. And I even talk in my last video about the problem with Pakistani Muslims, specifically Pakistani Muslims, in the UK, and how horrible that particular population has been there, especially with like the grooming gangs and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I didn't mention in the video. I should have mentioned in the video to give sort of legitimacy to what I was saying. But actually, one of my best friends is, British Pakistani. So. None of the stuff that I was saying in that video comes from a place of hate. It really just comes from a place of trying to be as reasonable as I can. And anyway, let's have a look here at some of the other statements. Mark Stein. No, not Mark Stein, not Sargon, although, love Sargon. Although he doesn't return my texts all the time. Come on, man. What's up with that? And let's see here. I'm talking about the guy who wrote the book, The Death of Europe, I think it's called. Hey, buddy. What's up? All right. Micaiah Jackson writes, how did Glenn Beck see your AOC video? That's how I was introduced to your work. I'm a big Blaze Media advocate and libertarian. Yeah, I love Glenn Beck. I don't know how he found it, but that video really went viral. I mean, that had like almost 3 million hits or something. So, it made sense that he would have seen that. He actually went on Hannity and talked about the video, which was really crazy. I got more people on here. Let's see here. Yeah, actually, Dante Duran makes a good point. He says remakes and reboots are just a way to configure the stories that have shaped the culture that the left hates. The culture that the left hates. Whoever controls the present controls the past. That's absolutely true. I really agree with that. That's what they've done with Star Wars. I do think there's a sense like, let's do a remake because of nostalgia, because people just like this franchise. I think there's a lot of that. But then there's another more sinister group of people in Hollywood that are like, oh, I can use this nostalgic attachment people have to this to shape their views. So they really exploit this sense of nostalgia people have. Hey, buddy. They exploit it in order to try to convince people that leftist ideas are right, feminist ideas are right. This is what happened with Star Wars. It's a really cruel weapon to use because you're stealing something that we kind of own culturally, and they're using it for their own sort of political expression. Let's see here. Yeah, I was actually on Glenn Beck's show, which was quite cool. I love Glenn Beck. I mean, I was over there in Texas, and he has a little museum. And he'll actually, it's not always him. He has people walking people through this museum, but sometimes he does it himself. But the point is, he never had to make this museum, but he did it. It's a museum about slavery. And it's kind of a dark museum to go through. I mean, it's pretty intense. But it really shows the history of slavery in the world and how people really suffer under slavery and how awful and cruel it is, and showing how there is slavery today. And I remember walking through that and thinking, why in the world is he doing this? There is no reason to make this museum. I mean, it's a very powerful museum. It's a very good thing that he's doing, but there's no reason to do it. I mean, he's he's like a millionaire. He doesn't have to do that to make money or anything. Like, I mean, and I think it might be even free, or it's I don't know. But the point is, it just seemed like a weird thing for somebody to do, in terms of like motivation. And it just occurred to me that Glenn was just doing that because he thought that was a message that people needed to hear. And I remember like leaving the studio, and as I was leaving, I mentioned it, and I was like, I just saw that thing. I pointed to him. I go, Glenn, you're a good man. And I like turned to walk away, and as I turned to walk away, I could see he was like genuinely touched, and I thought, good, that's good, because he needs to hear that kind of stuff, like people who are genuinely trying to make the world. I never made a slavery museum to show people the horrors of slavery. Like I can't claim that kind of. But like nobody knows about that. Nobody knows that Glenn Beck does that, right? He just does it on his own for his local community because he's just a good man. I especially being the Christmas season, I think we all need to hear about people doing good things like that more often. Glenn Beck, love him or hate him, he's a good man. Okay, let's see here. David H. writes, thoughts on libertarians in Congress, Thomas Massey and the Paul family. Why do people ignore libertarians while claiming to want freedom and liberty? I don't think anybody ignores libertarians. I really do like Ron Paul and Rand Paul. I like both of them. They are isolationists. I don't really have... I think there's a really good argument for isolationism. They are fairly extreme with some of their views. Like there is I know Ron and Rand Paul are both, anti-drug use, but I think they're for the legalization of drugs, or at least giving states the option to legalize drugs. And so a lot of conservatives, I think, are a little wary of that idea to just make give states the option. I think states do have the option to legalize prostitution. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think prostitution might be legal in some areas. But giving states the option to legalize certain things that nationally or as a nation we kind of consider to be deplorable, to use a Hillary Clinton term. I just think that there's a disagreement there. Their arguments are totally reasonable. Every time I hear them, they sound totally rational and reasonable. Just not everybody agrees all the time. That's all it is. And I think that's good. We shouldn't agree with everything all the time. Let's see here. Oh, no. Gosh, I can never navigate this stupid super chat. I swear I'm going to crush this thing. All right. Hey, buddy. Organize Arizona Politics writes, timing of impeachment vote, 7 p.m. Eastern. Interview with Barr, 7 p.m. Eastern. Coincidence? Huh? Maybe. Who's having who's doing the interview? I don't know. Oh, are we back to impeachment? House debates impeachment. Okay, if we're back to impeachment, I'm putting that back up. Uh-oh. It's not good. That's not what we're watching. We're not watching the 5. We're watching play. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's Shifty Schiff again. Gosh, I hate this guy.
Joe Biden announced he was running for president, and all of a sudden, Donald Trump held up the aid for Ukraine. As Sondland testified, the president didn't care.
This guy's so full of crap.
All he cared about was the big
Yeah, because Biden is perfectly innocent and never did anything wrong, right?
of the Bidens that Julia.
Okay, I have a couple more super chats I want to get to here, guys. 800 losers still watching this meat mayo diet, man. James, who are you? Are we like friends? Like, is this some kind of weird pseudonym joke? Are you like Kurt or something? Okay, you sent me an email. I'm gonna find your email. All right, Sierra. Okay, Sierra Romeo Mike. Okay, this took me a while to get that name. Writes, eagerly waiting for AOC and the squad. That'll be a great start to the new year. I'm not American. I don't live in America, but I still want to see America become great again. Thank you, Sierra Romeo Mike. That's awesome. Actually, I cannot wait to get that cartoon out. That's going to be great. I mean, we're writing the episodes. We have a Terminator 2 episode. It's just where AOC goes back in time to try to kill Donald Trump as a boy. You know, just basically copies the Terminator 2 story, but it's a funny, you know, AOC version of it. And we'll see if she succeeds or fails. All right, let's see here. Look at what they're saying for this impeachment. They're not really. This should be much more dry. Like, the Democrats are trying too hard, right? It's the old saying from Hamlet, right? The lady doth protest too much, methinks. The Democrats are not really pushing impeachment in a kind of a formal, dry way that you would expect, like academics from the 1960s to be doing it. That's how I want to see this done, right? If this is really a sober, you know, difficult thing that they're doing, they should be a lot less dramatic about this. But they're dramatizing anything, right? We're patriots, and this is an important thing to do for our nation, because otherwise the founders would be disappointed and blah, 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 blah. Douglas Murray. That's the guy. Thank you, Micaiah Jackson. I'm sure a lot of other people said it, but I didn't see it. Sorry, guys. Douglas Murray is the man that I'm talking about, the atheist, who I think is one of just the coolest guys in the world, and I admire him greatly. Let me check my email here, because somebody said they emailed me. And, you know, we'll just see. We'll just see. No. Oh, super chat. Here we go. Geeks Under Grace. Dude, good live stream today. Thanks, man. I'm not going to read the whole thing, because that's a little weird. Let's see here. Okay, all right. There's too many emails here, so I can't find the guy who said he emailed me. But all right, let's go back here. Could all of society's problems be solved by trans strippers? James, I can't find your email, so email me again, I guess. Okay. Trans strippers. FL Sheepdog. Cenk Uygur running for office with a campaign saying, a goat in every bed. How can he lose? Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I posted a video recently about Cenk Uygur. Now, this is something I saw from Mark Dice. Apparently, Mark Dice got it from somebody else. I didn't know that, but I give credit to Mark Dice. Mark Dice is cool anyway. He deserves some credit for some stuff. Anyway, apparently Cenk Uygur, who is the head of the Young Turks and just a total piece of work, there was a video of him found from the Young Turks where he, like, advocates sex with animals as, like, perfectly okay. He's like, I don't understand why sex with animals is, like, bad. I don't understand why it's bad. It's fine. Like, you want to have sex with a horse, it's fine. Like, I'm sure the horse loves it. And Anna Kasparian, who's also a little bit of a dingbat, she's like, what? It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch that video. It's amazing. I think I made a bad thumbnail because that video did really badly on my channel. But honestly, everybody needs to see that. It's disturbing, but you need to watch it. Oh, hold on. Somebody said, how dare you? Can I just say I love it when people say that? Master Cleese wrote, how dare you? Thank you, Master Cleese. I needed that. Okay. James Pless, again. He can't stop super chatting. From your contact me page, I don't have your direct email. Okay, James Pless, my direct email is the Reagan-esque conservative @gmail.com, right? You can try to figure out how to write that, but that's my direct email. The Reagan-esque conservative @gmail.com. Anybody wants to write me? Go ahead. All right, let's see here. Why was Maxine Waters let out of her mental institution to actually speak in Congress? And why don't you run against Cenk as a Democrat to primary him? As a Democrat, that's actually not a bad idea. I have a friend who is running against. He's not really a friend of mine, but he's a guy that I know. what's his name? George Papadopoulos. So you guys will know George Papadopoulos. He was part of the reason that the Trump campaign was spied on. The Democrats thought that George Papadopoulos was somehow involved, even though they set him up to be involved. So it was all just a sham, really. Oh, they're clapping. She must have said something powerful. Why was YM writes, why was Maxine Waters let out of her mental institution to actually speak in Congress? And what? Okay, sorry, I already read that, but the Maxine Waters thing is funny. Yeah, so everybody who lives in that district should vote for George Papadopoulos. I think him being in Congress would be cool. I mean, somebody mentioned that he's not the best on camera. Like, he kind of talks like this and he kind of looks like this. But I don't have a problem. The guy's a patriot. He's a good guy. Like, you know, if you know George in real life, he's a sort of an unassuming guy. He's a kind of mild-mannered guy. But he's a good guy, you know. He's a good guy. And, yeah, and his wife is very cool. And, yeah, they're good. They're good people. YM, finally she stopped yapping. They're gonna talk. They're gonna talk on the 5. I kind of want to watch the 5. I love that show so much. He has a hot wife. His wife is beautiful. Yeah, we're Facebook friends. Let's see here. Who doesn't know George in real life? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's nice. I didn't realize that everybody knew George. Let's see. I heard Romney's son was involved in Burisma as well. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear about Romney's son. I'll look into it. I'm trying to read you guys' chat things here. Epstein was framed for suicide. Trip tank. That's hilarious. That should be on a t-shirt. Except for Juan Williams. 41020 Patriot writes, except for Juan Williams. I actually like Juan Williams. You know, the guy's in there. You know, he's in the battle. He's in the trenches. And it's crazy that he does that every day after day after day. He's in there on the 5. But what I don't understand about Juan Williams is how can he still be a Democrat when he is in a room full of hard right conservatives every day, and none of them are racist, and none of them are super unreasonable, none of them are hateful. They're all good people. But all of Juan Williams' arguments is the same as all the Democrats. It's this: he assigns this hateful motivation to everything conservatives do, and that's why he claims he's a Democrat. And I've heard them say it sometimes on the 5. They'll turn to Juan and they'll say, "Hey, man, you know us. You know, how can you say that conservatives are racist when you know us? Like, we're your friends." Like, and Juan Williams like, "Well, that's you guys. That's not everybody." And it's just so stupid. It's just like, it's not just Trump derangement syndrome. It's like total derangement syndrome. It's derangement about everything. YM writes, sponsored ad for the drink. What, the Coca-Cola? No. That's just me trying to stay competent here. YM, the fact that the Dems are doing impeachment is proof Jeff Epstein didn't kill himself. I don't think it's a distraction from Epstein. Although, you know, you never know. I mean, their strategies are crazy. I think it's a distraction from Joe Biden's culpability in his, you know, in the whole situation with Burisma and his son. They're trying to distract from that. They're trying to keep people from researching that and focus on Trump. Like, this is so bad that Trump looked into this. But, like, Biden definitely was involved in corruption in Ukraine. But the big question is, who else was involved in corruption in Ukraine? Was Nancy Pelosi involved? Was Adam Schiff involved? As you know, who else was it? Who else? James Pless writes, present email. Okay, I'll email you, James. I'm gonna email somebody whilst I'm doing a live stream. This is, oh hey, no, I got your email. Man. Yeah, alphabet people. I do love who does the alphabet people thing? I know there was multiple alphabet people jokes, but anyway, whatever. I love everybody who makes those jokes. It's funny stuff. All right, I'll get your email soon, James. Brian Hallman writes, Mr. Reagan, Wanda Williams is entrenched in his plantation mentality. It's so stupid. I do like Juan, though. He's great. He's great. I would love to hang out with Juan. I think Juan's cool, but it's so stupid, the stuff he says. Angela B. writes, I giggle when the Dems ADOT... What is ADO/T? Somebody help me out there. And quote the founding white patriarchy and their oppressive, outdated constitution. Angela B., that is so friggin' smart. There are two sides to the Democrat Party, though. There's this sort of Democrat establishment who's a little bit less identity politics, right? And then there's the progressive wing, which is crazy identity politics. And I don't think that the establishment is interested in that whole, patriarchy, postmodernist, neo-Marxist stuff. I don't think they're really in that camp as much. They leverage that to keep people voting for them, but I don't think that they're actually sold on that as much as, like, say, AOC is. But it is funny. That is actually brilliant. Let's see here. Reality derangement syndrome. Dog Wander. I'm going to use that. I'm stealing that. I love that so much. I said wander. It's wonder. Sorry, Dog Wonder. Too legit to quit, writes, Juan Williams should retire. No, I like Juan. I'm sure there's other people. Oh, Chappelle. That's it. Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle. Love that special. Love that show. Everything about Dave Chappelle is awesome. He does accept that there's white racism in America that's like a serious problem, which there isn't. All right, the 5 is over. Bye, Dana. Love watching you guys. You're awesome. Brett. Who likes Brett? I'm a big fan of Brett Baer. I like Brett Baer. I watch Brett Baer. I'm a fan of Brett. Marlise W. gave me hearts for my email address. Okay, that's nice. SHITTY Beatles writes, Mr. Reagan, stop avoiding the question. When is violence justified? How much do we have to take before we exercise our Second Amendment rights? I didn't see you had written that before. I wasn't really avoiding the question. That's a great question. I would say that we have to become violent if and only if there appears to be an actual violation of our constitutional rights in a way that it looks like it's going to change the fabric of the country, in the sense that, like, if it appears, if it's very clear that we're entering into a dictatorship, like a Venezuelan-style dictatorship or a USSR, Soviet-style dictatorship, we absolutely need to... Let's see here. We absolutely need to take up arms against the government. That's the whole point. Sorry, I'm going to turn this down. Since this impeachment stuff isn't really going on, I'm actually going to turn that off. Let's turn that window off. Okay. And I'll move into the center so it doesn't look so weird. Okay. Video capture. All right. What else we got here? Dave Honkles writes, every change of our rights changes the fabric. I agree with that. I do agree with that. But there always needs to be some room for interplay. You've got to be able to have differences of opinion, differences about, what's right, what's wrong, what rights that we should have, what protections that we should have. There has to be some room for debate. If you're going to say every single time the Democrats shift the culture or shift the government in such a way where it takes away some of our rights, a little bit here or there, we have to take up arms against them. I mean, it's just going to be bloody war every single year in America. So we do have to give them some sway. I do think that with Trump in office, we have deregulated a lot of things. So we've become more free. I think at least businesses have become more free. And business actually is more important than people think. People always think, oh, when you're helping out businesses, it's just helping out rich people. But actually, helping out businesses helps out everybody. Because if businesses have more money, more freedom, you grease the wheels of business so that they can operate more freely. They can pay their employees more. They can hire more employees. It reduces the unemployment rate and increases everybody's wages. So helping business out in America is absolutely fundamental, and people really don't understand that. At least Democrats don't tend to understand that. I got some other people here talking. Zachary Moyer says, thanks for doing what you do, and sorry to chat. Wait, what? And sorry to chat for not responding. I was at work and leaving now. Also, you respond to emails, ? I'd do that, no lie. Yeah, I mean, I do respond to emails. I try to respond to tweets. I used to respond to Facebook. That used to be a big thing. And then I just got so much. I started to get so much Facebook that I actually stopped looking at those, which is terrible. And I'm sorry for everybody who's sent me a message on Facebook in the past several months. I just stopped. I started to get really stressed out about this, and I talked to other YouTubers about it too, like Sargon and some other guys, and those guys have so many followers that it wouldn't even be practical for them to look at any of these services. In fact, I think most of them are closed off. You can't write them. Like the big ones, like Marcus, what's his name? Count Dankula or Sargon or any of these really big guys. And they have a lot of trouble writing people because they just have so many subscribers that they get inundated. And once my AOC video came out, I started getting a lot of that, and it became much more difficult for me to navigate the amount of messages I was getting. So I tried for a long time, but it became so stressful that I had to just cut off some avenues of chat. But I actually really hate that. I do feel kind of an obligation to write people back. I do like talking about politics with everybody, so it's tough for me. But that's why this kind of stuff is sometimes fun. YM writes, I paid for that super chat. Mitch Connor writes, how dare you? Every time somebody writes, how dare you, I'm going to say it. If I see it. Zachary Moyer says, thanks for doing what you do, and sorry to... oh, yeah, I already read that. Okay. Oh, man, I'm missing stuff. I got to respond a little bit more curt. Let's see here. YM writes, how dare you skip my super chat? Oh, man, sorry. I'll go back. Hold on. Where is it? Let them impeach. So in Seattle... Okay, so I've lost the ability to read. Okay, let them impeach. So in Senate trial, we see who bad. We see who bad. Yeah, no. I agree. I mean, I think the Senate trial should just be a full-on investigation of Joe Biden. That's what I think the Senate trial should be. In fact, I'm surprised I haven't said that yet. That's an important thing that I keep forgetting to say. Okay, Aston 2020, make America purr again. I'll be his VP. He wouldn't have me. He'd probably have Valeria. All right, a channel for me writes, Mr. Reagan, do you think perhaps Juan isn't the crazy leftist persona he projects and is actually providing a devil's advocate for the rest of the panel? I have totally thought this in the past. I have thought, I wonder if Juan Williams suspects that if he inches right a little bit, that it won't be good TV and he'll lose his job. I do wonder. I do wonder about that. I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good theory. It's possibly true. Blue Falcon Sucks right. How dare you at me? Let's see here. Dave Kraft writes, Biden for prison 2020. Gosh, I mean, really, if they did the Senate trial was just an investigation of Biden, I think so much would come out about the other Democrats. Here's the way I think Washington has worked for a very long time, is the conservatives don't do a deep dive investigation into the corruption of Democrats, and the Democrats don't do a deep dive investigation into the corruption of Republicans who are, politicians. But Trump changed all that. What happened was Trump got into office. Democrats were like, "Oh crap, he doesn't know the code. He's going to screw everything up for us." And so they went ahead and attacked Trump. And Trump was like, what happened is like all of the dirtiest swamp creatures came out, and showed themselves by attacking Trump with the Russian collusion thing. And Trump started going, okay, you're all corrupt. We're going to investigate you now. And they're like, crap. So now they've got, what's his name, Durham going in. And that Durham, I mean, he even looks like a Mythbuster. Have you seen that guy? He looks exactly like the Mythbuster guy. It's weird. All right, I'm scrolling up. YM writes, do you play Minecraft with fans on for Patreon? No, is that a thing? I'm 40 years old. Okay, I'm an old man. I don't know all this. I don't know about all these young people things like Minecraft. All right? I did try to play Fortnite, and I did not enjoy it. But, maybe I'm just not that good at it. I have tried a few video games lately. I'm not really a gamer. See, that's the thing. I liked playing video games when I was a little kid. I mean, we had a Nintendo. Like a Nintendo, when I was a little boy, Nintendo was like the thing, right? I mean, my buddy even had an Atari. My mom wouldn't let us have video game systems, so I had to go to friends' houses and play. But we had an Atari. Then the Nintendo came out. That was huge. So I was around for all that stuff. I was even around back in the days when it was just like you had an arcade that you would go to, right? And it was just like those big machines that you would play Pac-Man on and stuff. Let's see here. But now I try to play games a little bit sometimes. What did I download the other day? I downloaded this game called Red Dead Redemption 2 that's apparently supposed to be like the best new game in the world. So I'm going to try to play that. Might be good. I played Link's Awakening. That was awesome. I played both of the Zelda games. Anyway, I'm not really a big gamer, but I do try to keep some up to date on what's going on with games and stuff. I know I should play Minecraft. It's like a big deal. All right, Joe Gibbs writes, I say that about Juan once a week. that they should fire him, that his time is up. Or that he's just pretending to be a leftist. Either way, it's funny. Okay, James Pless writes, last time I watched a fat guy for this long was the Nutty Professor. I'm not that fat, James. Not that fat. Glenn Beck 2022. Actually, who was it that I wanted to run in 2024? It was Trey Gowdy and oh man, who's that guy in Congress that's kicking butt all the time? He's always doing interviews. Oh, I forget his name. If I remember, I'll let you know. But Trey Gowdy 2024 plus this other guy whose name I can't remember. All right. He's a congressman. Let's see here. Joe Gibbs. Yes, I'm just talking to another guy in Super Chat. So this, it's fine, guys. You just talk to each other, and I'm good. Let's see here. Impeach James Pless. Pless, James Pless. All right, let's see here. Boomer. I wouldn't call myself a boomer. I wouldn't go that far. I'm more, weirdly, I'm in this little gap between Gen X and millennials. I'm actually in a little gap between those two groups. So some people assign you to one group, some people assign you to the other. Others say, like, you can kind of pick. Other people say, you're nobody, you're nothing. But I kind of consider myself a millennial just because of the age of the girls I date. Or I have dated, I guess, more recently. I would say that if the girl is like, what would you call it? What's after millennials? Gen Z, I think it is. So if you're dating a Gen Z and you're Gen X, it kind of makes you into a millennial, right? That's kind of disturbing. Sorry, guys. James Pless writes, David Kraft, make America super again. Okay. Boomers unite. No, my parents are boomers. My parents are legit baby boomers. All right, let's see here. Hercules. Oh, man, James, everybody's on board with your... Oh, Jim Jordan. Thank you. Everybody wrote Jim Jordan. Yes. Yes, Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is amazing. Jim Jordan and Trey Gowdy, 2024. Can you imagine that ticket? Mind-blowing. The only ticket that would be better would be Mr. Reagan in one of those two. I kid. I'm not running for president. Not yet, anyway. Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is also a badass, though. I mean, come on. If Matt Gaetz was on the ticket, golden. I would be fine with that. We should have 2 vice presidents. Just a trifecta of amazingness. Marlise W. said, you said my name 2 times. 3rd time, and I appear. Marlise. Oh my gosh. It's over there. It's like Beetlejuice, if you guys don't know that movie. You say his name 3 times, and he appears. Oh, it's okay. I had an Atari, says Adam Wolfhound, 1021. Yeah, Atari, man. That was where it's at. I mean, back in the day, gosh, I mean, Pong was good, obviously, but the vast majority of games for Atari were really, really bad. Like, they weren't, but because of the technology, it was still an interesting thing. Just even playing the game was interesting, even if the game wasn't really a fun game. All right, I got to read this. It's going to be hard. Hua Jatola Chick. I totally got that wrong. She writes, ha 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 ha. That's all. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. James Pless writes, what's after Boomer? Gravestone? No, man, that was the greatest generation. You don't know who was before Boomers was the World War II vets, man. The greatest generation. The parents of the Boomers were considered the greatest generation because they fought in World War II and they were badasses. Pitfall says 193001 Kippelst. And I will say Pitfall was apparently a good game, although I don't think I played it as a kid. I did play some other ones I remember, but Pitfall in particular, I've seen YouTube videos about Pitfall. Like, it's like very, very famous Atari game, but I don't think I ever played it. Dana Spielman writes, love this channel. Love you, Dana Spielman. Sorry. Spiel, I think, in German means play. Because I think Spielberg was like Play Mountain, right? Yep. Let's see here. FL Sheepdog 1 writes, my brother was a millennial. He invited me over for dinner. I never ate in my parents' basement before. I thought for sure that was going to be about macaroni and cheese or top ramen. But in my parents' basement. That's good. That's funny. Let's see here. God, I miss prohibition, says Blackbird. I think they're making a joke about how old they are. I actually don't think prohibition was a bad idea. James Pless writes, 2021, James Pless will be on the ticket for something local in Nashville, Tennessee. Conservative, libertarian, registered Republican, stop killing babies. Oh, hey, James Pless. All right, guys. That's awesome. If you live in Nashville, Tennessee, and you see James Pless on a ticket, I highly recommend you vote for him. All right. You have my endorsement, James Pless, and it only costs you several $5 super chats. Excuse me. I'm so easy. Jim's and he called me fat many, many times. Jim Stawicki writes, as an only child, I was awesome at playing Pong by myself. You know, I was thinking about the other day that the 1980s was the last era in which there were actual like sort of cultural shifts. There was actually like an American culture, and you might say, well, that's kind of a weird. Why is it the 1980s? Why is it the 1980s? It's a weird thing to say. It's a very big deal to say that the last American culture ended in the 1980s. Here's why I think this. Hajotala Chick writes, H Chick here. Juan has total TDS. Yeah, either he does or he's faking it. One of those two things. I'd love to see... Tamra says, I'd love to see Gowdy destroy some Dems in a presidential debate, right? Lonnie B writes, Jim Jordan / Trey Gowdy 2024. so right. That, I mean, come on. How would that not be like just the best thing? I mean, I'm super happy with Trump right now, so we don't need to look that far into the future just yet, but that'll be awesome. Okay, so this is why the 1980s was the last sort of like real cultural era that we had in America, is because after the 1980s, into the 1990s, you had the internet and you had home console video games, right? So children, whereas before the 1980s, you didn't have home console video games. So if you wanted to do anything other than watch TV or listen to the radio, you had to go outside. You had to go hang out with other people and do things with other people. I mean, you had hobbies. You could have a toy train or, a model train, or you could, there was things you could do alone. But the majority of things that were available for people to do were to do in groups. So any kind of, Ray Sharpless says, Dan Crenshaw, 2024. Dan Crenshaw. Why can't I think of who that is all of a sudden? I've like lost my mind. I literally, this happens to me sometimes. I can't type. Oh yeah, Dan Crenshaw, of course. Yeah. Sorry, man. My brain went. Yeah, Dan Crenshaw, Patriot, awesome guy. Love Dan Crenshaw. Can't get enough of that dude. All right, James Pless writes, This right here is why the left can't defeat us. We burn each other and still love each other. Hashtag real men. You know what the trick is? You grow up in Oregon, right? I mean, we do that a lot in Oregon. And then if you have Australian friends, it's even worse, because Australian guys are crazy. I mean, they are brutal. I mean, and it's like their best friend, and they'll be cutting them down in front of the woman of their dreams, talking about how tiny their penis is. I mean, these guys are mental. People in Australia are nuts, but you're right. That's true. That's actually a good point. Yeah, we're like the opposite of sensitive. But then after the 1980s and like the 90s, we had like Nintendo. So kids, if they wanted to wanted to do the most new trendy thing, they could just do it by themselves at home. That was the first time, I think, in history that the big trendy thing was kind of done by yourself. Now, I remember as a kid, of course, we'd have lots of people come over and gather around the Nintendo. But you really did. I mean, if everybody had their own, it was like an individualized thing. And then once the internet came out, it got really like, basically, and now everybody's got it on their phone. So anywhere you are in the world, you can be alone and you're good. Like, you have the whole world at your disposal virtually through your phone. And so we're at a period now where there is no real trends that happen in groups. People aren't forced to do things in groups anymore. So I think the concept of like shifting culture in major ways has kind of ended. I think we're stuck. I mean, look at fashion. Fashion hasn't changed since the mid 90s, pretty much. I mean, or like, I guess the late 90s. Late 90s to today, you could wear like a lot of the different clothes they had in the late 90s, you could wear today and totally get away with. Stuff from the 80s, actually you could as well, stuff from the 80s, because now we have a trend of 80s stuff. But before the 80s trend, you couldn't do that. How dare you skip me again? Hold on, I gotta go back. Did I skip you again? No, I did not. What are you talking about? How far back do I have to go? YM. Okay, I did not skip you. I did not see what you had to say. I don't know. Okay, all right. I'm being yelled at, guys. How dare you skip me again? He's writing it. You skip me again. No, I did not. I don't see another thing here. Okay. I'm just going to read normal comments because there's no super chats and everybody's leaving. I've got 684 views right now. All right. Chinese clothes last longer. All our culture is manufactured by Zionists. I assume that's a joke. Adam Wolfhound 1021 writes, Trump 2024, dynasty made great again. Hey, it could be Trump Jr. It could be Don Jr. I like that guy. I think he's great. Don Jr. and Eric, could you imagine those two running together in 2024? The left would lose their minds. I think we should just do it to watch Nancy Pelosi's head literally explode on national television. Oh, Midnight Joker apparently came back. Yeah, I fixed the sound pretty early. Sorry. It was a problem with the way that the mic was interfacing with the computer. It had nothing to do with OBS actually. So I had to fix it in the computer in Windows. Let's see here. Ignore YM. No, I like YM. He's great. Zeb Boykin writes something to somebody else, I think, on here. Let's see here. Jim Stowicki is back, and he says, "See what I wrote about Jim Jordan on regular chat." Okay, I'm trying to find it. It was a $5 donation. YM, I swear I looked. Just write it normal. I'll get it. Okay, I'm going back, Jim Stowicki. I'm looking for your comment. I'm trying to find it, brother. I can't. I'm really bad at I'm really bad at navigating super chat. Everybody's just gonna like leave. I can't find it. I can't find it, Jim. Sorry, man. Write it again. Write it again in normal chat. Okay. Let's see here. Joe Gibbs writes, "Please do a video on SNC Lavalin and Trudeau. It would be massive in Canada, especially with your high caliber investigating." I'm writing it down right now. New videos. Oop. Okay. SMC Lavalin. Lavalin. Okay. Okay. I know who Trudeau is. I don't have to write that down. Okay. Cool. Looking forward to looking into that, actually. YM writes, "You skipped me twice." Okay, well, just write it in the normal chat. I'll find it. I'll keep an eye out. Okay, LPJ, "I really recommend Mike Judge, Tales from the Tour Bus." Oh, Tales from the Tour Bus. I never heard of it. I'll tell you what, my favorite show on television until recently when it was ended was Silicon Valley. Flipping phenomenal show. And they actually had a lot of sort of, anti-SJW stuff in that show. I mean, it was absolutely beautifully written. That was a Mike Judge show. He produced it. But I think it might have been created and written by like another guy. Like another guy kind of headed it up. But Silicon Valley. If you haven't seen Silicon Valley, HBO, watch that. Somehow get your hands on that show. It's a great show. They just ended up so sad. I was like, come on, Silicon Valley, 2 more seasons, guys. Now I just have Mandalorian, which is good, but I need more shows. The Pharaoh King writes, "You must understand where you've been before you can decide where you're going, i.e. if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got." That's a beautiful, I love that so much. Joe Gibbs, "All of us conservatives leave to talk about Love to talk. I assume he means love to talk about us or the U.S. Not sure, Joe Gibbs. You were unclear with your grammar here because you capitalized us, so it could be U.S. And you wrote leave to talk about instead of love to talk about. So it's difficult for me to comment on this. Zeb Boykin writes, "For the Peloton Bike Fund." I've got a gym upstairs. It's literally 2 floors above me. I'm just a lazy a-hole. Although a Peloton would be nice. I want to run more. I want to run more. The diet's working, though. I am a little bit skinnier. I lost 1 belt notch, so I'm getting a little bit better fit. Thanks, though. I'm glad people are looking out for my health. I've become disgusting. I need one of those, like... I had a trainer actually for a little while, but I need one of those like super, Hollywood crazy good trainers. Did you see that guy from Silicon Valley? He's now doing a superhero movie, and he's like he we started Silicon Valley. He's just like a nerdy, normal physique, nerdy guy, and now he's just like, he's a freaking superhero now. It's crazy. Let's see here. The Expanse. Really? Is The Expanse good? Because I see it all the time, and I'm like, nope, skip, not interested. Okay, if The Expanse is good, I will give it a shot. I will give it a shot for you folks. Crenshaw supports anti-BDS legislation, very unconstitutional. Well, I'm not a big BDS guy. I mean, I don't understand this whole. I feel like protecting Israel is important, and granted, I haven't done the research on it, so I can't say one way or another. in any confidence, right? I don't think it's completely unreasonable, the idea of stopping funding from Israel. I would have to weigh both arguments, but I haven't been convinced yet. So I would like to do a deep dive into all of that stuff. Women are right about Peloton. The Expanse is awesome. Gates is the biggest Zionist supporter. That's fine, W. Roberts. I don't understand this hatred of the Zionist thing. I'm not, I'm totally open to the idea of stopping sending funding to other countries, for aid that maybe don't need it, like Israel. I'm totally for that. However, there are a lot of countries that want to obliterate Israel. I think that is a serious thing. Okay. Mr. Robot, best show on TV, Chris Whitting. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree, Chris Whitting. I really loved the first season, but by the end it got so bad, and especially the ending was so bad of the first season, I couldn't watch the other seasons. I stopped watching after season 1. It was one of those shows that promises to have a spectacular, reveal. This is the ending. It's, we're revealing all this amazing stuff, but then the writers clearly didn't know where they were going, and then it just kind of ended with a dud in season 1, and so I couldn't keep watching. Joe Gibbs writes, all Canadian conservatives love to talk about the U.S. Okay, that's what he meant to write. If you read my last chat, it makes sense. Okay, sorry, man. Is that right? Because I do think that a lot of UK people love to talk about the US, people in Germany and France. Everybody likes to think they know about US politics who don't live here. Canadians probably do know more than most. But the problem that I find is that a lot of the people in these other countries, the only thing they know about US politics comes from very, very hard left media. And so they have these very well-informed ideas about the United States, but these well-informed ideas are based on, I think, bad information. So that tends to be my experience with foreigners having strong opinions about the United States. And I have traveled and I've seen the stuff that they're watching, and it's hard to watch. It's just so bad. It's like CNN all the time. Any plans on doing a video on the 2A fight in Virginia? Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the video. I do think that if the Democrats do take any kind of radical action over there, it will be very quickly taken up by the Supreme Court, because they can't leave that. If they leave that for too long, it's a huge problem, because people actually would get guns confiscated, stuff like that, and that's so unbelievably dangerous that you're going to need. I do think the Supreme Court would step in if something really nasty started happening. I think they'd step in very, very quickly. Okay, let's see here. Jim Stowicki, and not reporting it to authorities. Not reporting what to authorities? I went off. Let me go back. Okay. All right. YM 619 is where my super chat is. 619. I don't know how to. I don't think it works like that. At least not for my. All right. Well, we have surpassed 2 hours for your squad cartoon from Chicago. Thanks, Jennifer Lodi. Joe Gibbs. They love to talk about. Why do you keep writing they leave to talk about? That's a weird way of spelling love. They leave to talk about U.S. Crowder McInnes. Crowder and McInnes are examples of Canadians that like to talk about the United States. Yeah, I love Crowder. I like McGinnis. I have a hard time watching him sometimes because he's pretty vulgar, but yeah, McGinnis is great. YM writes, libs are just a conservative that hasn't been mugged yet. Oh, that is a brilliant statement. I'm so happy I read that and I didn't skip over it. Yeah, and this is something that I often say about the left. It's like they don't always realize that there is a victim when they pass a particular kind of legislation or they advocate for a particular kind of thing, right? So like in in California, we had to give up straws, right? Like you go to restaurants in California, there's no straws anymore. It's all paper straws. And I don't know if you've ever had drank in a drink. If you've ever had if you ever consumed a drink using a paper straw, it is it's insufferable, I think is a good word. It's like almost painful. It's a very unpleasant experience. And so why did they ban straws, though? Why did they ban straws? They banned straws because of a flipping YouTube video, right? There was this YouTube video, and it was like this turtle with a straw in its nose, and somebody put some pliers into the nose, grabbed the straw, and yanked out the straw, and it was kind of a fascinating video to watch. And then all these like environmentalists were like, oh, we need to ban straws because of the turtles. And then all these people on the West Coast, especially in California, were like, yeah, we need to ban the straws. The straws are these horrible, evil pollutants that are going to kill all the turtles. So they banned straws because of one YouTube video. It's so stupid. Anyway, so now we're all suffering with these paper straws. Ridiculous. And it's because Democrats, they don't always consider the ramifications of a particular action. Like, I used to be pretty poor, right? I mean, I used to be pretty much dirt poor. And I used to go to the grocery store, and I had to walk like a mile or so to go to the grocery store. And I had to walk back a mile or so to come from the grocery store. And I used to buy a lot of groceries. And if you ever bought groceries using paper bags, you'll know that sometimes paper bags break. And when paper bags break, it's just groceries everywhere. It's a disaster. And so California outlawed plastic bags, and so then I had to get all these reusable bags. But reusable bags, like, they get moldy and gross. You don't really want to store reusable bags for very long, so you end up throwing those out and getting new ones, and you spend a lot more money on bags, which could have been free at the grocery store, but because they banned them, poor people basically have to buy bags that pollute more, and they cost a bunch of money more. They just don't think through the ramifications of their actions because they don't have to suffer through a lot of this stuff. They don't have to deal with it because they got a nice big car. They just go to the grocery store, get all the stuff in the car, and they drive home. I didn't have a car. Okay, it was impossible for me. Like, I had to walk miles with paper bags that would break. So I had to get these reusable bags that were just polluting more. And then also, you've got things like immigration. It's like, oh, we love immigrants. Immigrants are great. Bring in all the poor people. That's wonderful. Look, people don't have a problem with the poor. People have a problem with dirty people, right? And oftentimes, the poorer class than you is dirtier than you, right? So if you're rich, a middle-class person is probably less clean than you are because rich people can afford maids and stuff like that. If you're middle class, poor people are probably dirtier than you are. So you probably don't want to live in a poor neighborhood if you're middle class. And if poor people, homeless people are dirtier than you are. So you don't want homeless people around your neighborhood, right? Everybody is repulsed by the person that's a class less than them because they're a little bit less clean than they are, right? That's pretty much what poor and rich amounts to. Cleaner or less clean, right? And so, like, it's great if you want to bring in all the super poor immigrants. It's great for rich people because those immigrants are never going to live anywhere near those rich people. They don't have to deal with those consequences. But there are other people who do have to deal with those immigrants, and they may not want them in their neighborhood. Well, that doesn't matter according to the rich people because you should just suffer through it because you're a bad person otherwise. You're a racist otherwise. They just don't, yeah. I like that statement from YM. Thank you for posting that. All right. Joe Gibbs again writes, they leave Canada to talk about the U.S. Oh, okay, Joe Gibbs. I just keep pretending that I don't understand you, so you give me more money in the super chats. That's not true. I genuinely didn't understand. Okay, they leave Canada to talk about the U.S. That's an interest. You don't have to leave. You can talk about it from Canada. Anyway, this leave issue has cost me $10. If you give me your Venmo, I'll send the money back. That's hilarious. Just tuning in, love your videos. Thank you, Margot Blay. That's amazing. You're awesome. Monty Kanson writes, a conservative is a liberal who's been mugged, but a liberal is a conservative who's been arrested. It's kind of funny. Okay, I'm scrolling down. YM again writes, a fine is a tax for doing wrong. A tax is a fine for doing well. Oh, all these brilliant things. You know, when I started my YouTube channel, I kind of was prepared for like a lot of hate comments on YouTube and stuff like that. But I guess because of the stuff that I started doing, like I started doing a lot of Jordan Peterson stuff, I was getting a lot of really smart, politically well-informed subscribers, and people who are just generally like fairly decent people and knew about philosophy and politics and stuff like this. And I started getting a lot of really smart comments like this. And sometimes, I mean, that's a really clever thing to say, but sometimes I would get such profound comments, such profound ideas that actually change my concept, my political concept. This is the comment section of my YouTube videos. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what I would say about my experience in YouTube is that the subscribers to my channel I have not felt like this online hate that everybody talks about. I have felt that I have become a better person through the subscribers of my channel. So all of you people watching this right now, and all the people that have watched throughout the thing that are no longer here because I'm down to 600 views, I love you guys. I really love you guys. I mean, you have made this experience phenomenal, and I look forward to making a million more awesome videos about politics and philosophy and all these things that I think are very important that people need to think about. But I think I'm going to sign off now. YM says, stop repeat offenders, don't reelect them. I agree. Let's elect a bunch of conservatives to office that are real, decent, good people. And yeah, that's it for me. And remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. All right. Okay, guys. Good night.